Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Factorio. So at the end of the last episode we had a couple of problems. Basically we had three different crises all happen at the same time. So I immediately run off into my car and try and deal with one of them. So we had a power shortage that suddenly occurred. So I happen to have a bunch of solar panels in my inventory, so I quickly plonk those down to sort of plug that gap, and then I ran off up to the radar stations in the north because one of them got taken down. And then running over here I can see that we have a group of biters, so I quickly take those out, and I can't see any others around, so it looks like they were the responsible party. Then making my way back home, a bit of a crash. I'm sort of rushing around trying to deal with all these things that have happened at once. So we go back to the power thing because that's the most urgent now that the biter problem has been dealt with. And what I do is I go hop into the copper train. Turns out to be the wrong copper train because of course it's difficult to tell between them. I should give them names, or just remember the names that they have. So I take that train back, and then I just run because there's no point waiting for the other train because I arrive there just as it leaves anyway. So one of the problems that happened, which I think caused the whole power shortage, was that there were not effectivity modules in the 10 most recent mining drills that I had made, meaning that each one of those mining drills was using 5 times as much power as it should have been. So I quickly chucked a bunch of effectivity modules into them to drastically reduce the power usage of them, and hopefully fix the problem. So the next problem that we have is that the oil supply was draining for the majority of the previous episode without me realizing, and I only discovered it just as we were finishing. So luckily we do still have oil within the walls of our main base, so it's easy enough to go build some pump jacks on it. The only problem is waiting for the things to be crafted, because it just takes so long. So once I get those done, get some pipes made so I can connect all of these up. I've put effectivity modules into all of them. We have to move some power lines around a bit to make room for the pipes, and then we need to connect it up to the oil refineries. And the thing is, going through the base is actually going to be quite difficult with all of the dense packed machinery that's there. So in the end I decide to actually go around the other way, so go on the other side of the lake, sort of out in the open. You can see there's another patch of oil there that we'll be able to tap into later on. So the pipeline's not going to be completely useless because we'll be able to connect it up to something else later on. And of course we need it to transport the oil anyway. So I just connected up at both sides to work out where the meeting point needs to be. And once I've crafted a bunch more of them, which takes a while unfortunately because you have to make all the individual pipes and everything, I can connect them all up, and then I just need to put the corner pieces on. That's an annoying thing about building pipes in Factorio. If you want the underground pipes, it will use up all of the normal pipes that you have, so you need to craft all the normal pipes after you've finished the underground pipes, or else you'll just lose them when you craft the underground ones, and it's quite annoying really. And there may be some way of fixing it that I haven't realised, but then it's fine for now, I suppose. So I went, now that that's sorted and the oil supply is being replenished by this new group of pump jacks I've added on, I've realised one of the reasons that we're having these power problems. It wasn't just that the solar panels were not enough and that I didn't have effectivity modules in the new miners. It is that the accumulator capacity is not high enough anymore, because of course as time goes on we have more and more power going into things. So I get a substation set up, get some accumulators going. I have to run back and grab some more batteries, and then I can get this new section finished. And this should mean that it's going to be a lot longer before we'll need before we have power problems like that again. And also, the more redundant accumulators that you have, the longer it will take for a power problem for a power shortage to cause a problem, and you'll have more time to respond to it. Anyway, now that we've got more accumulators, it stands to reason that we'll need more solar panels to keep them all filled up. So I'd run over and add a couple more to the array out there, and that should be fine for now. And then it's time to walk around our iron outposts and see what sort of things have happened there recently. Is it just a case of trimming off some of the mining drills that we have around them that have finished? And the thing is, we keep having mining drills running out on these. It's only one at a time, but over time it starts to accumulate, and eventually it's clear that we're going to have a shortage of iron from that. It's obvious really, and in fact it's happened. Looking at the smelting area, I find that half of them are off. and then they suddenly starts switching on again, and the reason for that is that the chests are running out between train visits. So of course when the train comes back, suddenly everything bursts into life again, and all the smelters switch back on. But in the meantime, the supply is reduced because the chests all run out, and then suddenly there's no iron left anymore going into the system. So it looks like that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to have to be fixing all of that. So also I do a quick check of the buffers of science, and I find that the red science buffer is actually running down a bit. So what I try and do is set up a requester chest and a provider chest with this little random red science pack crafting area that I've got set up down there, because at the moment it's not being used because the supply isn't that low, but we don't want the supply to get that low before it starts coming into use. So I tried to get them transported over, but we had a bit of trouble with that because there weren't any empty stacks in the requester chest, because it was being taken from one stack and added in another, so it was taking a while for one to be empty for the requesting to actually happen. But that shouldn't be a problem really. It won't get that bad, I don't think. But anyway, as you can see, I've run off down here now, and we have this iron deposit right here, because it's time to set up a new outpost, of course, to fix this iron shortage that we're having. So what I'm doing is running around clearing all these trees, and you saw a minute ago that I was running down and laying out a big long track going towards this from the current unloading area that we have. So I get the mining drills out, start placing them, trying to work out the nice positioning and so on. And we get our first little row, or whatever you'd say, street maybe, because it's got them on both sides or something. Our first section of mining drills. So we get those set up just so that we'll have something to come from the outpost when we set up the trains for it. And once I've cleared out some more trees, it's time to actually put in the tracks. And so I'm just sort of spinning this curved piece around to try and work out where exactly I want it to go, and eventually I make my decision, and then it's a case of finishing off the loop. And the way around that I've done it this time means that I'm going to have to, it's going to be a little fiddlier to work out where the loop should be. So you see I'm clearing out more trees in a big general area, and my inventory actually gets full of wood because I've cut down so many trees. So what I have to do is stick some into my hotbar, which still has some space, while I finish off this work up here. So I set up some track pieces, but they're just temporary so that I can tell how wide the loop is, and that can tell me how long the loop needs to be. I could get a blueprint for this, and actually I should, but it's something that I always forget about at the time, and so I just make do. So you can see getting in all the corners there, and then I have to clear out some more trees to to carry on with the track and connect it up to the other end. So getting on with that, and you can see we got a bit of science done there as well. We're really getting through this rocket science quickly. So running over to this, I've realised I extended it a bit too far south, so I just cut back on the tracks there so I can use them in this section. And then we get them pretty much in the same place, connect them up with a curved part, and then put that final piece in. So now we have a new track leading all the way back to the unloading area for the iron ore. So before I carry on, I quickly run back and dump all of this wood into a new chest, because it was causing a bit of a problem. And then I can just clear out a couple of extra random bits of stuff that I happen to have in my inventory that didn't really have a reason for being there. Also, I consolidate the two stacks in the buffer for red science, so that it triggers the logistics drones transferring it all from the other place. So that should keep the buffer from getting empty for a while longer. And then it's time to fit the signals. So I went and looked over at the copper thing just to make sure I was doing it right, and then I set it up. And it's pretty simple really for actually for this system that I'm using, which is quite good, because it can be a bit fiddly to set up certain systems when it comes to rail signals. And actually I'm thinking about doing a tutorial on those very soon, because I think I've got the hang of most of the ways of doing it, and there was a really helpful image-based tutorial that I found that I'll link to at some point as well. So anyway, I've got the station set up, and I've put the train into place and sorted with the unloading system. So I just need to hook up the power so I can actually test it, and I mine some bits of iron ore, stick those into the chest so that I can see if if the inserters put them into the trains, and an interesting thing happens where it looks like all of them do, but I found out later that actually I needed to move the whole system down by a block, and I'm not sure why that happened, because the inserter at the top definitely put the ore into the carriage that time round. It just didn't do later on. So I don't know whether it was because the train moved up to the station and it didn't move in quite the right place, but I don't know, it's something I'll look into later. Anyway, I just take the train back and check that the signals are working properly. There's no reason why they wouldn't be really, but I just want to be sure. And I also check that the times are the same on both trains, so they both spend 15 seconds at each station, meaning that their complete cycle, including travel time, is like 35 seconds or something like that. Quick run over to the copper train just to check that everything's going fine there, and it is. So back to working on the iron. I decided to add some more mining drills in because, of course, over time we've lost a lot of mining drills in the other outposts, and it may be that we need more than just I think the 6 that we set up there. So I set up another 5 there just to be sure, and if not, then give some redundancy and so on. And we'll be adding more of them on later. So hopping back into the train, I realised that the problem with the loading that I have to fix. So it's really annoying actually, because at the time I thought maybe I'd just not been paying enough attention and it had missed the cargo wagon, but it definitely went in the first time I tested, but then didn't do it later on. So I'm not sure really. It's just a little quirk of having north-south facing loading bays. And some people have actually just switched to only ever using east-west bays because it's a lot easier to operate them. It's the whole 2D isometric thing that you have. I don't know. I'm not a game designer. I don't understand these things too well. But anyway, running back onto the main base, I have a check of how the ore is flowing and making sure that it isn't running out between train visits. And I find that 2 of them are, but it's because they're being loaded slower from the trains because of the positioning of the inserters, and again it's a quirk of the north-south facing loading bays. But anyway, the thing is, there still isn't enough ore coming through, even though the unloading bays are working pretty much non-stop, and I think that's because the sort of overflow smelters have kicked in, which is the old ones near right next to the steel production. What's happened with them is they've switched on, and now they're drawing from the iron ore, meaning that the portion that's coming by belt from above, from the north even, is being used for that rather than going into the main smelting area. So really what I need is to have even more iron ore flowing. Anyway, while I've been rambling on about that, I've gone over to the oil system to see how things are going there, and unfortunately I wasn't paying enough attention because the heavy oil has run out. After me trying to be really careful and keep everything balanced and not let anything run out, it's accidentally happened. So I had to do some tweaking there and reduce the rate at which heavy oil was being cracked to try and fix that, and hopefully that will be in a better state later on. So run back and check the iron again, see if there's been any changes there. Run over to the copper just because I haven't actually checked so far whether it's been working, and all the chests were full, so it looks like the work I did last episode has nicely fixed that. Anyway, I'm not happy yet with what's going on with the iron, so running back to this outpost, I add in another 6 of the mining drills, making sure to put the effectivity modules in so that we don't have another catastrophic power shortage. I mean, it wasn't that catastrophic, honestly. It was like the accumulators were running out as the sun was rising again. But you know, it's still a problem. Things were getting slow enough that I realised that it was a problem because things were running slowly at the end of last episode. Anyway, now that I've added in these new mining drills, the loading bay isn't quite dealing with the flow anymore. So it's time to set up the loading bay on the other side, and I'm starting to wonder if I should just set it up on both sides to start with, because really it seems to be the inevitable result of all of these outposts. Anyway, need to set up the splitter, use a fast one. I'm not sure whether you need a fast one or not. I've not really paid that much attention to the different speeds of splitter and how they work. But it's putting in a fast one means that it'll definitely be going quickly enough. Anyway, as I was driving home there, so I got a bit more signs done, and I'm now on follower robot count 9. The reason for this is that the only signs that I have left now is the follower robot count, which is by far the most expensive sort of chain in the research tree, and then all I have left is rocket defense, and I could research that now and get it done, but I want to get it complete. I want to have the whole tech tree finished when I'm done, and to have completed everything. Anyway, looking around the science, I can see that actually all the buffers are running out now, and looking around I can see that it's to do with, well, the increased science lab capacity and also the lack of iron. So that's not quite fixed yet, we're going to have to deal with that in the next episode. But anyway, until then I shall say goodbye, thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.